this episode seemed like a very rough day to stay cool, calm, cute, and collected.
Yeah.
You started out with the intention to have direct, efficient navigation, and then immediately we're on the wrong highway. What was the issue here? Was it reading a paper map?
No. Go for it.
I feel like what had happened, I mean, we were on the right road for a long, like us getting from Dome through the town to the actual highway, that was like, that we actually kind of built a little confidence. I was like, oh, Mattie, we got this. Is that the right road? Is that Cahors? Yes, let's go. And it wasn't until, I mean, then Mattie can take over, but it wasn't until we had, there was a fork in the road, a fork in the highway.
Yeah. So somebody explained it. It was like, so in California, we have the I-10 and then we have Route 66, right? And the Route 66 is the scenic route. I-10 is direct and faster. So we were on the I-10 for most of it. And it wasn't until we were maybe 10 minutes out. I saw where we were. It was 1 or 2 exits away from the stadium. You know what they also didn't show that just came into my brain is that we saw the stadium and we didn't think it was the right one.
Oh.
You circled it.
Did you remember that?
Circled it.
So, okay, so you're almost there. You're circling. You just took one little wrong road. Okay, so it wasn't as bad as it seemed. But then I also heard you got pulled over. What is this?
This is a whole mess. That day was a whole mess. So this was after the rugby, because once we saw Aubrey and David, there was hope because we felt like we were so behind. And watching it, we didn't realize how close it actually was. I didn't know Marcus and Michael drove past them, you know what I mean? Which means we were 5-10 minutes out, which it seemed like we were hours away. We finished the rugby challenge, we're on the way, and then we get stuck in that capital situation for like 45 minutes. And that is when we thought the race was over. And we're like, oh gosh, this is it. But then once we pulled out, we figured it out. I guess I ran a red light. And we're pulled over by a very handsome French policeman. Very handsome. And I'm a little bummed they didn't show up, because I feel like I think it was that moment that he pulled us over for maybe 10-15 minutes. But I think it was that moment that kind of put the nail in the coffin. Even when he was running our plates and stuff, Mattie was like, hey, so can you show us where the Jacobins is?
Right. Was this after the bear? Like, what were these things that popped up in the street and you had to talk on an intercom? What's happening here? This is just chaos.
We were stuck in like a shopping mall, an outlet mall. And we shouldn't have been allowed to drive into it. But the barriers were down at first. But as soon as we drove over it, they went up behind us. And then so we said no choice but to keep going forward. And that's where you saw me get out to the intercom, because we had no way behind us, no way in front of us. We had the security car following us. So that's how you knew we were on the struggle bus. Nowhere to go but to get those barriers down and get forward.
Wow. And so at this point, you guys are pretty worried. I mean, did you see anyone else doing poetry or anything? Did you know how far behind you were?
No. No. I remember when we pulled up to, we finally got to Couvent de Jacobins. I mean, just seeing other cars, we knew we were the last ones, but just seeing the car again, it gives you that little bit of hope. Like, okay, hold on, we just got to get to the challenge. We're gonna kill it. We just got to get there. And I mean, I still think we chose the right one, because Mattie, I don't know if you realize, but when that run to get to the bricks was over the bridge we drove over like twice. Like, it was not close at all, like at all. And we were far from we saw the pit stop looking for the stadium. So we already knew, okay, at the end, we have a thing of running the race backwards. It's tradition.
Call it strategy.
Literally, got to see where we're going to go. So I knew that as soon as we just have to get to the water. And I knew how long of a run that was. And I was like, okay, well, here we go, buckle up. And to know that we lost by like 3-4 minutes sucks, because when we were running down the canal, we see Aubrey and David getting off the mat. And I think that was the part that really hurt me. Like, we were we're not running until it's over, race to the end. And then once I saw them walk off, and I was like, oh gosh.
Yeah. Well, you make a good point of, like, once you get to a task, you guys didn't seem to have any struggles. You really were so great at the task. You had a lot of highlights. You had 4 top 5 finishes. 2 of those were 3rd place finishes, the first leg, and then in Amman as well. Could you feel something clicking in those legs, or is it just kind of getting lucky?
No, I don't think it's getting lucky. There is a luck element to it, but I felt more so that luck was not on our side because of specifically in Jordan, the first Jordan leg where we're not driving, we have drivers set up for us, and the driver we happened to pick got terribly lost, which was extremely unfortunate because Quinton did really good in that roadblock of the metal detector. And then we get into the car, and they didn't show this, but we were so stoked to not be driving. We were so stoked to have our driver. We were gassing him up. We were telling him he is so awesome for taking the reins on this one. And we're going to get there smooth sailing, living in luxury. And then all of a sudden we went from that to all the way down.
And that one sucked because that was the first time where I felt like we were actually racing for first. Like we said it in the car, like, oh my gosh, Mattie, freshen up, because again, whatever the next challenge is, I just did that in 30 seconds. We're gonna get it. This is it. Because I see Molly and Emily, and I'm like, we got this. And then to know that we're chilling, running down Petra, trying to take it all in, and then Aubrey and David behind us, and we're like, wait, what the hell just happened? Like, did we do something wrong? And then just the stress, and that was kind of demoralizing. And that was kind of, for me, my mental kind of like, we can't even get around like with drivers.
Well, it was really fun to watch you guys doing in Amman, doing the flirt dance. Like this is your time to shine. You guys are thriving. But I did hear that it wasn't quite as seamless as it may have seemed on TV. What happened?
Yes. So we got to the dance challenge, and a lot of people are saying, they're dancers, so of course they're going to get in the top 3. But no, we didn't leave the detour until we were in 6th or 7th at that. No, 6th, right? Because there are 7 teams. So we left in 6th because they were so hard on our dancing. Like, they critiqued every detail. And normally in dance class, thank you. Like, I appreciate feedback in dance class, but when I'm on the Amazing Race, just acknowledge that I can dance and we did it good and send us on our way.
Yeah, that judge did seem a little overcritical.
Yeah.
She was critical, but it's also your instructor as well. So our instructor missed a couple details of what I needed to do specifically. So I thought I was executing it correctly because it's what I was told, but it wasn't correct. Namely, there was this part where I was supposed to like crouch down, and we had a little dispute on how low to crouch and if I need a hunch or if I need to stay flat. Very detailed corrections that kept us from moving.
Like, I picked all the partners, and I picked the partner in Austria, picked the dude. I always had to pick the cute one. I picked the girl in Jordan, and then I picked the driver in Petra, and I was like, oh man, I'll stop. I'm done. Mattie, you can pick now.
Yeah. My yodel instructor was awesome. I picked him and he taught me well.
Okay, now I say, okay. Well, racing as friends, I feel like it has to be hard, right? You've never lived together. Like, you don't know what traveling together is really like when it's a friend of yours. First, how did this opportunity come up for you guys to race together? Did you apply?
The race has been reaching out for like the past 4 years for me. They, ever since I joined the NFL, and I joined the Rams, they really loved the story. And I always thought it was spam. I always thought it was just somebody trying to play like a joke in my email. But it wasn't until I retired and I was like, you know what, let me just respond and we'll fill it out and see what happens. And ended up being real. And then literally it was go right after that. But I will say, like, traveling with Mattie was really easy because we've traveled so much. Like, we've gone to Korea and like Hawaii. Like, we've gone to so many places just with the Rams by itself. Like, not even friend trips that we've been together for weeks on that. You know what I mean? Like, we weren't really together in the rooms, but like, if we can travel together, we should be pretty good. And we really do travel well together. Like, she knows my schedule. I know her schedule. I guess I'm a little more high maintenance one. She likes to she's the chill one.
He brought an $85 serum. That's it. I'm just gonna say that. Like on the Amazing Race, he needed an $85 serum.
I said stay cute and stay collected, and I will not be on TV having bad skin.
It was part of the mantra. That's true. So the friendship, the relationship, the personal dynamics of the race were fine. That was not an issue.
No. No.
That's
the
great.
only time I had like a small little like tick in my brain, like, gosh, I'm frustrated with him, was when it was right after we saw Aubrey and David get off the mat. And we're still running as fast as we can to the pit stop. And I asked Quinton, and they showed it. I'm like, 30-second slowdown. Because that's what we did when we were running. We would be like, okay, slow down for 30 seconds and then go. And Quinton goes, no, we're racing. We got to race to the finish. And just in my head, like I wanted to lash back out and be like, fast. But instead I was just like, I know.
Yeah,
I'm going.
right.
Like being platonic, being just really good friends and best friends. I think that is what saved us and what made, like, nothing was ever that deep for us. You know what I mean? Like it was, let's get it done. I don't have to worry about pissing her off and getting a divorce when we get home. Like, I don't have to worry about that stuff. You know what I mean? Like, she has a boyfriend, like that's like, she can worry about, like, you know what I mean? Like, we were literally just here to have a great time and win this $1 million. That was the whole point.
Well, what was the highlight? What was your favorite leg, or maybe a favorite task?
Gosh, we had so much fun throughout it. I am sad that you don't see a lot of our conversations in the car, because those are the funniest because of our thought processes. And like we would tell stories, but then sometimes we're trying to guess what we're doing next. For example, Petra. We're on our way to Petra, and the guy asks us, "Where are you going?" And we said Petra. They're like, "What's Petra?" We're like, I don't know. I think we're going to meet a lady, and her name's Petra.
Statue. We're by the Dead Sea. Is it a boat? Like, are we going on a yacht? Like, but little things like that. Like, we really, like, a lot. Like, it sucks because I felt like a lot. There was a couple times where the challenge was like the legs were designed for us. Like, Austria was meant for us to win. You know what I mean? Like a sing, yodel and dance. And if we would have got there, it would have been over. Especially seeing it, like knowing how many people struggle. Like, that was our leg, and that was a really good time, even though we didn't enjoy it. I would say Italy was another fun time. Just, I mean, even though the Ducati was rough, like every leg was fun. And I think it was the.
And I love to excel in areas that people didn't expect us to, you know, and like I think we showed up pretty good when we did the anatomy test. You know, out of the 4 teams that were there, and we're coming off of Austria. So everybody thinks that we are going to get out very soon. And we were out of 4 teams, the first one out of that. That was cool. That was a great accomplishment. And then our French poem too, even though the very last challenge that we did, it's the French language, and that's notoriously been super challenging for teams, is being able to speak the accents and everything. And we did that great too. And we had a great time doing it. We put on a full Shakespeare performance when we did it. We had people outside of their rooms looking down at us. That was another memory I'll hold on to for sure.
Well, it was so fun to watch you guys. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Sarah. It was a pleasure. Thanks for having us.